We're very pleased to be joined here at the University of South Florida in Tampa by former Florida Attorney General Bill McCollum. Welcome, Bill.
Glad to be with you. Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Okay, a couple questions. You're a big Newt Gingrich fan. He's your candidate. Why is he a better candidate than the other Republicans?
Well, I've known Newt a long time. I served with him in Congress. I was in House Republican leadership before we took the majority in 1994 with him. I know that we would not have taken that majority. We wouldn't have had the contract with America. We wouldn't have had welfare reform. We wouldn't have had a balanced budget if it weren't for Newt Gingrich. And so I've seen his leadership firsthand. And I believe that he has the leadership skills, he has the knowledge, and he has the vision to be a very good president of the United States. And he is the most articulate and able to talk about the conservative positions of any of the Republican candidates. So I think he'll be the best nominee we could produce to debate President Obama, to campaign against him, to make the case, and to win the election in November.
What's his strongest quality?
Well, Newt's strongest quality is he's, first of all, very knowledgeable, very smart, and very quick on his feet. And he knows the subject, and he knows how to articulate the issue in simple, plain layman's terms. But he's got a lot of strong qualities, and I watched him as he put people together in organized ways after we took control of the House, delegating a lot of things, getting assignments done, and rounding up the kind of support that was needed to pass legislation in a very difficult period of time.
He got President Clinton to go along with a lot of his ideas.
He got President Clinton.
Welfare reform. And
it was a very contentious period of time, but one where we did work things out and we did pass some very significant legislation like welfare reform. So I've watched him operate, and you know, I think, sure, he's got his faults, but his positives far outweigh his negatives. And that's what the people are now seeing in this campaign. They've watched him debate, but they've also seen that despite everything else, he is the person who has what it takes to be president, and what, most of all, for right now, it takes to win.
Critics, mostly Democrats, may say that he's an angry man. You hear that, mention that word. You know him well. Is he an angry man?
No, he's not. But Newt can be emphatic. He can be very quick to tell you what he thinks. And he's certainly going to be a strong figure. He's got bold ideas. He's not a pastel person. So when it talks about the economic plan that he's got, he's a supply sider. Art Laffer's supporting him for a reason. He goes back to the true Reagan and Kemp period. So he has the best economic plan, the boldest one, and sometimes you'll see him emphasize that, or maybe in debate, he'll be quick to make his point, and he'll be very hard on making it, but not too hard. I just think he's emphatic at times, and that's good for me, and I think it's going to be good for winning this election, and good for a leader. He doesn't know everything. He's going to tell you, the smarter guy as he is, he'll call on me, call on other people, seek their advice. He understands that he's got to have a lot of friends and resources.
You were in Washington a very long time as a member of the U.S. House delegation from Florida. What are your predictions? You look in a crystal ball. What would you predict for November election? Overall, everything.
Well, of course, it's going to be a very dramatic election, and we're going to have to pick our nominee, and once we've done that, and we know President Obama is going to be the Democrat nominee, we're going to see a very, I think if it's Newt Gingrich's nominee, I think it will be, a very classic campaign. There are three principal issues. The economy, which is absolutely at the top of the list right now. We've got to balance the budget. We've got to turn around this incredible spending machine and big government we have in Washington and get tax relief and get jobs being produced again. Foreign policy and defense. National security is going to be a much bigger issue than maybe people realize right now. The president has proposed building it down in ways that were just unimaginable a few months ago. And I think that with China and other things on the horizon, this is the wrong time and the wrong place. And you're going to see that debated. And then Obamacare, the health care law. I think that's going to be a very big central part of the campaign, which, by the way, is a big deficiency for Romney because of Romney Care, his one arm being tied behind his back. You can say he's for repealing it and replacing it, but when it gets to debating the merits of it all, it's, after all, patterned after his own legislation that he's still defending. So, but I think that the debates will be over those, the actual campaign will be over those issues, and what direction do the American people want to go? The hope and opportunity and for kids in the future. And I think at the end of the day, first of all, Newt Gingrich will get the nomination, and I predict he'll win that election.
Speaking of Obamacare, you led the charge. You were the original general when you were the Attorney General of the state of Florida against Obamacare. You created and got the group, a coalition of other attorneys general together to file a lawsuit against it. Where do you see that going?
Well, the lawsuit is in front of the Supreme Court. It's about ready for oral arguments here in a couple of weeks in March. And then I think the court will make a decision, a very historic decision in June, on the constitutionality of the individual mandate that requires an individual to purchase a health insurance or pay a penalty, which I think is very unconstitutional, because I don't think there's any power in the Constitution granting to Congress this type of thing that they're claiming they have under the Interstate Commerce Clause. There'll also be a question of the constitutionality of the coercion that's in this law of the states in Medicare, forcing them to do things they've never had to do before, including provide for the number of doctors needed for Medicaid, to provide for the hospital beds required for this greatly expanded new program of more eligible people to be covered by Medicaid. And then, of course, the subsidiary questions that go along, like severability as a whole law, go down. Anyway, it'll be a very interesting decision. Who knows? I think it'll probably be a 5-4 decision. I don't know how it'll come down for sure, but I think we've got a really good chance of winning on both of these arguments. And I'm very proud of the fact it's the Florida case that made it all the way to the Supreme Court. The others, there were several others, none of them made it there.
Does it bother you as an attorney that a Reagan-appointed judge in the D.C. Appeals Court upheld the individual mandate?
Well, of course it bothers me anytime I see a judge, even of our appointed side especially, decide something in a way that I don't agree with. But you have to realize that there are different ways that judges look at things. Some of them, when they're in office and in their position, may see it differently. And he has a very definite viewpoint that I don't share. And I don't think that the majority of the justices of the Supreme Court will share it. You had a Democrat-appointed Clinton judge down in the 11th Circuit where we were that ruled the individual mandate unconstitutional. So I don't know necessarily that you can predict precisely the background it's going to take to get somebody to vote a certain way, but you pretty well know that it's going to be a close decision.
Mr. Attorney General, always a pleasure talking to you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Bill McCollum. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.